Hello and welcome to Cleave to Antiquity. My name is Ben, and today I'm joined by a special guest, John Heers. How's it going?
What's up, Ben? How you doing, brother?
Pretty good. I was just telling you backstage, I got back from a cruise, posted a pretty crazy video on Roman Catholic news that almost drove me insane, but I'm still here. Glad to be here. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Ben, it's very important that we're able to put whatever kind of animals and mammals on a cross and hang them in a church. We should be doing that because we're free.
Lord of mercy.
What in the world? Go watch that video, guys, because Ben's
Yeah,
funny.
that video was insane. But I'm glad to have you on the show. For those that are unfamiliar with who you are, why don't you do a little brief introduction, and then we'll
Sure,
dive into the subject at hand.
sure. Pretty much, I've lived my whole life in the shadow of my little brother named Fr Peter Heers. That's not true. That's not my bio. For people who are coming over and crossing over from Protestantism, I grew up Episcopalian. Um, is that even Protestant? We should talk about that. What is that? And then went to Africa and served in Peace Corps for 2.5 years. Fell in love with a lot of that life, and also started down a path toward meaning and all of that. But I did it 32 years ago, not like you young guys doing it, 2 years ago. For you, like 2 months ago. But and then went through my life as I was a big reader, writer, all that, and then I taught high school mostly, in college, and started an organization called First Things Foundation, which the first thing is hospitality, and what we actually do is Peace Corps style work. We send people for 2 years at a time to go to, I think, a pound for pound in some of the roughest neighborhoods in the world. We're in Mozambique, in a place called Karane, Sierra Leone, Guatemala, and why am I forgetting? Colombia. We're on a wacky place in Colombia, really interesting. We start there next month, and then also the Georgian Republic. So basically, my life right now is united in two things. One is trying to serve people by placing really heartfelt human beings to deeply commune in the world's poorest neighborhoods, and that communing looks like hospitality and generosity, and then out of that grow local projects that we do, poverty alleviation projects. The second thing is we started a restaurant to honor the Georgian Supra, and that flew off the shelf. I don't get it, and that restaurant's doing really well. We're winning awards in Greenville, South Carolina, and so where I live. So that's my life, and I did not plan on it, Ben, and I don't know what's weird in your life, but somehow I get to meet a lot of cool people and throw these Supras and then try to raise money. That's what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And we met at the Supra not that long ago, which
I
was an
know.
amazing experience. Let me tell you, that was
I
phenomenal.
want to apologize for something. When I'm Tamada at these things, because of the nature of that role, I wouldn't call it acting, but what happens is all eyes, and then I don't make as well of a good friends as I want. I always tell people, if you sit next to the Tamada, it's the worst spot because they're thinking about what's coming. And I just want you to know that I really enjoyed hanging out with you, but I didn't feel like I got a chance to have a good conversation. So here's one maybe we
Yeah,
can have right now.
absolutely. I'm glad to have you on the show. Glad to get to know you a little better too. But that was a phenomenal experience. I remember I went back to the hotel room after that, and I was just thinking something that you just said. Like, this is like hospitality. This is hospitality. This is like, I felt very welcomed. There was something very rich, steeped in tradition, very liturgical. Um, and I'm not I'm not a drinker really, but I did have a glass of wine. I
Sure.
think that also kind of boosted the
Sure.
experience as well. Just, I mean, it was a beautiful, beautiful, meaningful night. And I remember being grateful to God for the experience when I got back to my hotel room. I actually texted Neil the same thing, I think the next day or so. And he was like, "Yeah, I can't explain it. It was very beautiful." So I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
So the first thing for people who haven't done Supra, the first thing, it's like a baby liturgy. By baby, what I mean is it has an innocent appeal that is also like a baby really it makes sense out of the world in unique ways. We make sense out of the world through the supra in ways that don't fit the science. And so the reason for that is because the supra is an attempt, and it's really the Georgians are perfect. It's an attempt to remember the two parts of life in simultaneous, which is the suffering and the joy. You can't have supra without the proper suffering. And it's really weird because people don't leave feeling like they suffered, but what'll happen is they did. The toast brought them to places that you wouldn't share with other people. You might share with your wife, about how you feel about your dad's death. You might share with a deep friend how you feel about, your own sins. But what happens at the supra is they're framed in like this loving toast, but then everyone sorts it in their soul, and they do it together. And so the togetherness, if you look at the gospel, and it's not rife with it, but it's all in there. They'll know you by your love. This is about hospitality. And you guys know, because Ben, I don't know how much you've traveled, but people out there are going to nod their heads right now. People know when they go to the old world, they go to Romania, they go to Georgia. For me, I found it in West Africa too, in Morocco. There's weird things happen when you're a guest. It's like you're brought into like the bridal chamber somehow. You don't really go to the bedroom. I'm not speaking, but the house becomes yours in these really hospitable societies. And it feels for us Westerners, it feels too much. We feel like we owe too much back. You know this feeling like, why are they being so nice to me? I think they want something. And that is evil. That's like an evil reaction. The reason we have it is because we're in a transactional society. Mm-hmm. We keep seeing other people's actions as a sales job. It's not because we're evil people, but that system is dehumanizing.
Yeah.
And what the old world does is they throw that out. They almost go the other way. So if you notice something about really hospitable societies, they also tend to be really poor. But the way I think about them is not poor. I think about them as they have a stable, low, they live in a stable way at lower wealth levels. And they're willing to stay down there because they don't want to break this hospitality core. And when the Western enlightened values come into those societies, they have to battle. They have to decide what they're going to give up. Mm. And a lot of cultures will give up that need to overexpress generosity. That's what hospitality is. It's medicine. It's like, I see you, and now I'm going to give you all my best stuff. And you feel blessed. And then the flip side is as the guest, you should receive all their best stuff, even if it's not something you like, which is it. I know people think they do that, but they actually don't, because they're wondering, oh, is the guest going to serve me soy milk? I don't drink soy milk. If you have that thought at a truly hospitable house, it's bad. You're not being a good guest, because they're giving you that for a reason. It's like, this is the milk from my cow. This is the joy of my joy. We slaughtered this sheep for you. I don't eat meat. What? Yeah, you do today. You better. You're the guest. You see, it's wacky. Anyway, to go on and on, I find out what we found out in First Things. We opened this restaurant on a whim because our board member said, you should have an office. You look like some crazy person trying to raise money like in your basement. Like, you don't seem normal, man. And I was like, I know, Mike, but I don't really think we need offices. It feels like one of those overhead wastes. And he was like, well, then start the restaurant, make it your office, go meet people there. And he put up some money. And then we didn't know what we were doing. But what we found out is the hospitality is what all the cats on the internet were talking about, from Jonathan Pajot to Jordan Peter. They were like incarnational. The restaurant became incarnational. It was like when he said, when the guys on the internet say, go to church, this is like go to mini church. This is like go to baby church for secular people or for Protestants, no offense. And then they get a taste of this liturgical energy. If that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a very profound experience. I think we should maybe take a step back and explain it from the base level for the people that might not even know what Supra is. Now, I went to the Supra with you. You hosted at Neil's house. You were the Tamada at Neil's house, but this was after the J conference. It was kind
Yeah.
of that weekend was or that whole experience was kind of interesting because it was all kind of themed around hospitality, at least for me in my experience. Because
Yep.
I went there, I was meeting a lot of people I had never met before. I'd never met Jay in real life before. He was very hospitable. I'd never met Father Vlad in life, real life before, and he was very
They
hospitable.
were loving, man.
Everyone, it was very beautiful. And the Orthodox community was very welcoming. They're like, hey, I've seen you on YouTube, I like your stuff, I resonate with your story. They were telling me their life stories. We're sharing things out in the parking lot. We're having deep conversations. People are like, why am I like opening up and spilling like my life to you? It was like, just go with it, man. Like we'll just talk. And then we have the Supra after, and it's even more of an outflowing of hospitality.
Yeah.
So it was very profound and unique experience, an experience that I definitely will not forget. So let's lay the groundwork here, and then we'll kind of expand from there. Why don't you explain at the very base level what the Supra is,
Sure.
and maybe we could talk about the one that we experienced together and who was there.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We can have fun with it too. I'll just do a little history, okay? Just a little bit. The Supra in Georgia is called the Supra because there's tablecloth. A kepi is like a party, but that also is usually a table. And both are defined by the fact that you're probably going to drink wine and or cha-cha, like some moonshine derived from grapes. So the core of the core is there is a wine or / moonshine, grape moonshine center to the table. And so for like non-drinkers, that feels a little intimidating. But here's the good news. You don't have to drink. Well, you got to drink something, water, when you toast. But there's no tamada that's going to make you drink. In Georgia, they'll try to make you drink until they really see you don't want to. Because here's the key to the Supra. The wine is an image of brotherhood, of course, of blood. And it's an image of lineage. And the lineage is being passed down from tamada to tamada, from family to family. And so when you drink wine together, you honor that brotherhood and sisterhood. Does that make sense? And it really does matter when everyone drinks wine. It does something. Now, what Americans say it does is make people drunk. But as my dear friend Father Silouan says, there's lots of drunkenness. It's not all one thing. It's not all like 0.11, 0.10 on a breathalyzer. You can drink 2 glasses of wine in a Supra and you can be drunk in a way that's beautiful because you're not actually drunk. You're actually sharing deep stuff. So how does it work? So it works like this. Once the table's laden, in a Georgian Supra, the table should be laden. And the table should not have the classic sort of pass around the table feel. So if you have a turkey, you would cut the turkey into lots of different portions and put it all over the table. Does that make sense? It's tapas. There's a reason for that I'll get into. And when you do that, it should be so covered that you're like, this is crazy. It's like a Tuesday night. Why are we eating like King Henry? What's going on here? That's a flavor of the Supra. But you can do that with, like, instead of ordering 3 pizzas for 5 guys, order 7 pizzas for 5 guys. You're like, what? That's way too much. That's the point. Because remember, it's about generosity. The next thing, you should have wine, something to drink, and you got to have a tamada. So the tamada is going to be toasting. But when people on this who haven't heard about this before, when you hear toasting, don't hear that. Hear invitation. So the tamada is inviting everyone at the table to speak on the subject that they are broaching or that they're laying down for the table. So a toast on children is one thing, and it would be a poetic attempt to talk about the highest, most philosophical things within the life of a child or innocence. And there would be a beautiful toast given by the tamada, and then people at the table would ask Sagrazello, please let me toast back on the theme. So I'm holding my drink. I actually am. It's like a Celsius energy drink thing. No wine today for me. So
I got the same thing right here.
Oh, you got it. Look at us.
There you
Advertising. Hey, they should pay you for that.
Yeah, there you go.
So just to finish this thought, I'm going to make a toast, and my toast should be real high, meaning it should be real universal.
Mhm.
I shouldn't cut people out of the toast. Like if you don't have children, I shouldn't be like trying to only speak to the people with children. I should speak about things childlike. I should be feeling the energy of the table and then offering a beautiful toast. And then you might toast back with the name of your own kid. You got kids, right?
Yeah, I have one.
I say, Tamada, please, may I have the toast? And I would, and by the way, the Tamadas don't always say yes. It's awesome because they're trying to create a pattern. And sometimes people at the table don't understand the pattern. So sometimes they'll say, no, please, wait, Ben, one moment. Give me a second. But I would say, please, Sagrazel. Then you would say to Lorelai and what she's done for my life, and then you might give something beautiful on your daughter. But notice your reaction would sort of be what we call the earth.
Mhm.
You're saying earthen things about real particulars, your actual daughter and her actual, way of living. But I didn't do that. A Tamada would not be like, I have children, my child, Georgia. I could, but I want to stay away from the particular or earth. I want to go up into heaven, the universal. And so this pattern of back and forth between the 20 people or 50 people or 5 people at the table and the Tamada creates this high-low. It creates this energy of the universal and the particular, which is really pleasing to the human soul. What's not so pleasing is particular. My truth, my kids. No, I know. Will you tell me about your kids and I'll tell you about kids? You see,
Right.
that's a pleasing uniting of two ideas that are, well, they're really one idea found in two in two notions. And so at a table where everyone does the universal, I do a toast on the unique nature of innocence, and then you do one on children and their particular, relationship to the truth, and then another one, and we're all doing the high-minded one. This kind of table in Georgia is boring.
Mhm.
It's okay, great. We learned a lot, I guess, but nobody's got kids here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what's going on? So
Yeah, you need
anyway,
them both.
that goes like that. And the history is this dinner, it comes out of the agape feast, some of the earliest celebrations attached to liturgical tradition in Christianity that also became kind of wild. And by the 700s, they were outlawed by the Council of Trullo, late 600s. And they kind of were like, hey, guys, that's not, they kind of reverted to some pagan, wild Dionysian stuff.
Mhm.
And then the bishops were like, yeah, we're not having that. And in Georgia, the people went back to the bishops in the 700s and asked them if they could do the Supra, the agape feast, as a funeral service because they wanted to toast to their dead. And they pour out wine. If you've ever seen that, like in gangster movies, that's a real thing in Georgia. They
Mhm.
build tables at the
Right.
funeral at their in the cemeteries. So if you come with me to Georgia, any cemetery, you'll see tables and awnings to protect them from the rain. So on the 3rd day, the 9th day, the 40th day, and every year they go out to these tables built right in next to the headstones, and they throw supra. And that feast for the dead and remembrance, the remembering again, making them whole and present, that now is done in Georgia for weddings and Tuesday nights. And like you can go to Supra all the time in Georgia. If you announce yourself in a village, you'll have a Supra like within 24 hours. Someone's going to come get you and say, my grandfather heard you here. I really want to please come to my house. And then it's 5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I thought was very, I guess, made it more profound was that we had some really good. I felt like there was really good company. It was a lot of people who were very creative, a lot of people that had good conversation. I really enjoyed discussing with Father Vlad. I remember he's awesome. I walked away and I was like, that is a grace filled priest.
Look at his face.
Yes.
Look at his eyes. I
Right.
mean, that says something. He looks like, he's a classic twinkly eyed priest. I love him.
Yes.
Love him.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a wonderful table. Who else did we have there? Jay was there.
Jay
His wife
Dyer.
was there.
Um, oh, Jay's wife made a great toast. It
Mhm.
was just a beautiful toast. It really settled in, and people hearing this are like, oh, it's like a toast off. Not really. But what happens is some people, they have that ability to be really honest, but not uncomfortable. it's like a it's like a talent.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
oh yeah. Who else did we had you? Everyone kind of knew you. Was Luigi at the table that night? I don't
No,
think
no.
so.
Luigi and Mario had left after
That's
the
right. They
conference.
had to
Yeah.
leave. Well, Neil
Father
was
Silouan was
there.
there.
What's that?
Father Silouan was there.
Oh my gosh. For me, I had the gift of the whole table because Father Silouan came down. He's that funny character. Whenever we're together, I'm his godfather. He's my godson,
Oh, nice.
and we grew up together in New York. Grew up in Orthodoxy together. Uh, but he came sat next to me, so we had some bangers down there. We stayed
Yeah.
up till like 3 talking about theology, and it was yeah. Who else was there? Justin Marler was there, and Justin made a beautiful toast, and we had such music too. I'll
Yeah.
tell people this. And this is not the American way. We Americans like vocational stuff. I also think that's a Protestant thing. And what's your vocation? And in America, in Georgia, everybody will sing. So right now, Ben, you and I don't count myself a singer. I don't count you a singer. But like right now, have yourself a very merry. Like the idea that you wouldn't sing with me,
Right.
you would go, I'm not a singer. I can't hold the tone. Everyone in Georgia would be like, are you just ruining our vibe? Or just sing, bro. It doesn't matter. And the whole idea is because the singing becomes the toast.
Hmm.
Or if you don't like that, it becomes the answer to the Tamada's question.
Hmm.
So the question is something like, I want to toast, I want to toast to the beauty and the majesty of creation. Da 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 da. And then someone will go, Sagrazello, and they'll just start singing.
Yeah.
Because that is an expression of creation.
Mhm. Yeah, we had Father Deacon Ananaias and Neil were singing
Oh my
at the
God.
Supra. That was awesome.
They sang beautifully, and Deacon Ananias played the it was a ukulele. That's not the right term for it though.
Yeah, it
He's gonna
wasn't
kill
a
me.
guitar. It was some kind of smaller guitar light. Well, that's what we'll call
Right
it.
now he's like, really, John, ukulele, that's what we're doing. I think it
Yeah,
was kind of like that though.
nice.
I mean, not that he had a small instrument. I mean, he'd have a smallish instrument, but he was a big sound.
Yes. Yeah.
See what I'm doing there?
That's a good way. That's a good way to put it.
Uh,
Yeah, I mean, that was a good time. I really enjoyed getting to speak with him as well. He's a character. Father Deacon Ananias. He's full of energy.
well, let me ask you something. What is your awareness, knowledge level, whatever? This isn't like important, but it's interesting. What's your awareness of the Orthodox world as per the different, let's call them, what's the right word for all? They're not denominations. F- for the different jurisdictions, are you aware of how they work
Yeah, yeah, I'm pretty aware.
as a new convert?
Yeah, I mean, I've been reporting on this stuff for
Yeah,
quite some
yeah,
time.
you have. So the flavor of that was pretty Rocor.
Hmm.
And I'm in Rocor. So I'm
Yeah,
old calendar. Like it's not even St. Nicholas Day yet for us. Um, and that was a comfortable vibe for me. Kind of hard edged, but then also like crying.
hmm.
It's very
Yeah,
Georgian too. Like
yeah,
old
yeah.
calendar, hard edge. Georgians look at you like smoking a cigarette, like, uh, I don't know if I can trust you. And then once they trust you, they're like, you're like brother to me.
Yeah.
Tonight we share everything, our blood. I'm like, whoa, slow down, bro, slow down. So that edge I like.
Yeah, yeah.
The Antiochians tend to be a little bit, they're very, I love Antiochians and in my experience, but they tend to be a little bit, they've sort of put on the American way a little bit they're real good with converts. Um, Roquefort kind of scares them out of there, but once you get in, they're pretty hardcore. So these all have flavors, and that was the flavor that I found. I like that flavor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a little bit of a mixed table too. Father Deacon is Serbian. He's Serbian church.
Oh yes,
Yes.
I
So
did
a little
I
bit of a
did
mix there.
I did a Supra in Chicago with a bunch of different priests from different jurisdictions, but there were the 5 Serbian priests came with their wives.
Mm-hmm.
Domination. They dominated the table. They were hilarious.
Yeah.
I have to say one of the best times I've had because they knew how to go high and low. It's in the Eastern European blood to understand the Supra. But I want to say something, and I don't care. You guys can come at me. All of you can come at me from the different jurisdictions. You guys all have toasting. Don't get me wrong. You Romanians, you Serbs, but I love it. You guys all have it, but you don't have it like the Georgians. No offense.
It's
They
special.
formalized it.
Special.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was certainly a unique experience. I'm trying to think of who else was there. I met quite a few people. I couldn't remember everybody's name, but I met quite a few people. People
Well,
who do like comic book art.
That's
People
Justin.
do comic book art. People who do like advertisements for movies, so on and so forth, social media stuff. I mean, all sorts of people. It was a wonderful, wonderful
How
experience.
did you feel when you got back? Did you feel like it was a positive experience? Athens to Jerusalem, the conference?
Oh yeah, the conference itself was interesting. I was joking around saying I should have brought. Well, I invited my wife. She had to work because she's getting a promotion at the job and all that stuff. So things happen. But I was like, she should have came because when I went to the conference, like almost everybody there kind of recognized me from the channel. So I was like, I could have tricked my wife into thinking I'm famous. That would have been
we
nice.
we have similar wives. My wife is like, not this guy again. He's just like some guy that's drinking wine and having toast. Like, why do you guys? But I will say, by the way, I'm no means or way. My channel's way smaller than yours, but the Supra has done something. But it cracks my wife up. She just loves that I love it.
Yeah.
She's a good wife like that. She sees joy and then wants more of it. But man, I can't get an inch of any of that authority in the house. Come on, man. Right now, the Ortho bros are like, you need to get that authority. Calm down. Trust me on this. There's some authority you don't want.
Yep.
You gotta let a woman run the house, man. Uh-oh. Am I in trouble for that?
It's over. Now I'm gonna get I'll get Tim Gordon on here with his anti-feminism movie he just produced. And he's gonna debate you.
What do you think about this whole movement right now? Towards the manosphere, tough guy stuff. I don't know if I'm a tough guy, but I like it. But I have some issues.
With what? The manosphere stuff?
Well,
I don't know if I would put Tim Gordon in that thing. I think he's a traditional Catholic, so he's just trying to defend traditional Catholicism's declarations versus I guess some of the pushes by more modernist Novus Ordo Roman Catholics. But
so
manosphere stuff, I mean, I guess it would depend on who you're referring to.
Yeah, it does. I think not Tim Gordon. That's a very fair fact. I don't want to put him in there. I didn't mean. I sort of slipped into a generalization that
You don't have
where
to over explain yourself.
Yeah, that's the way it works these days. Where there's a call to manhood, I believe in 2026, or 25, 26, there you have a good energy. However, I'm not sure we've sorted out quite what manhood is. And I think it's very simple. It's in the marriage. It's in the marriage, the words of the marriage liturgy of the marriage service, which is you're meant to die. And so, like, literally, you're meant to be a martyr, both to your wife, but also to your passions within a marriage. So that's a really high calling for men. Sometimes I think they think being a man is calling their wife to martyrdom. And she's supposed to die too, by the way. But the husband's not supposed to call her to it. not in a conventional and not in an intentional way through words. He's supposed to do that through actions.
Yeah,
And
I mean, I think certainly the wife is supposed to play the role of helper, right? She is supposed to be the helper. And you are supposed to kind of guide her into that, but obviously not by saying, look, you are going to be the helper now. That doesn't typically work. I think
it,
if you do it through displaying uh servant leadership, but also confident and assertive servant leadership, where you're
right.
confident in the decisions that you make and you yourself are displaying the virtues. You're showing yourself to be somebody that's, I mean, worthy of following. Not that your
Yes.
wife shouldn't follow you if you're not somebody that's, doing
No,
these
no,
things.
she should always try.
Yes, these are the things that you should be doing as a man, I think, and it makes it a lot easier. I mean, I compliment my wife all the time. Um, she's very humble. She is very she's a good caretaker. She takes care of the home, children, those types of things. But I think a lot of that has to do with uh if there is something that needs to be corrected, I try to correct it in myself first.
Yeah.
Not as a way of me bending myself over backwards to, I don't know, be like some kind of henpecked husband or something, but
Yeah.
from a position of strength, from a position of, leadership, and saying, look, if I am asking you to do this thing, I'm going to do it first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think you're I think you're painting a portrait there of a proper manhood that is first and foremost rooted and still.
Mhm.
And the wife and that I have 4 daughters. That whole energy can be, I'm not saying unrooted, but it can have a type of passion to it. And that's fine. But the man is rooted and still. And that means he can take a punch and he knows what he won't do or can't do because of whatever he's calling himself to in terms of principles, in terms of Christic principles.
Mhm.
So here's the thing I found as an older dude. There's very few things I can't do on principle. You get what I'm saying? Like I go to my wife's like gift giving party at Christmas when I don't want to go. On
Right.
principle, there's no reason I wouldn't do that. But there are things on principle that I won't do. You know what I mean? Like I won't let my wife tell me I can't bring my friends over to smoke cigars. On principle, my friendships with my man friends are really important. On principle, friendship for me between men is essential to my well-being and to my marriage. And so she'll be like, I don't really want them to come over, but she sees that I have a principle. And I just find that women want that in a man. But there's a lot
Yeah.
of things we can do that we actually don't want to do, and then we fake it as principle.
Mhm.
we fake it.
Yeah, I think for me, the things that I typically put my foot down on are the things that involve health and spiritual health.
Yeah.
So if, for instance, say, I don't know, my wife is having a particularly hard time and she really just doesn't want to go to church, I'm putting my foot down. We're going to church. This is what we do every Sunday.
There you
We're
go.
not we're not we're not going to skip out on the church service. Or maybe we make a I don't know, we make a guarantee that we're going to be at some kind of event or something.
Right.
It's part of our, I feel like it's part of our duty as Christians, as you said earlier, to be hospitable, to uh you know to honor those commitments as well. So I might put my foot down in those types of situations.
I'll
um
give you a quick story.
yeah, go ahead.
This isn't me. This was a friend of mine. And this friend is in a world of hurt. Their marriage is bad. Let's just leave it like that. These are real people. Their marriage is bad. And when he would pray and try to get all the family together, they were like, Eventually, what he came to through his spiritual father, he and I had lots of talks about this, is one of the things is they didn't want to burn incense and take the time to actually, venerate the icons and say the prayers. So the advice he got was just do it yourself. Don't call any of them. And he didn't. and he was really hard, but he kept his prayer life but the problem was the next thing that happened is one of the people in his family said, I don't want that incense. I don't like smelling it in the house because it's not always pleasant to me. And he went, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Because that's how we pray. And he's like, and you know what? It's a really beautiful image. His prayer was arising and filling the house. And at that point, that is a breaking point. That if you can't have that prayer in your house, both as a spoken voice and as a true incense of prayer, there's probably something that's really at play. And guess what happened? They started to come.
Mm-hmm.
The key was he didn't make them come, and then he lit the incense. My point is there's a mystical intervention in all these cases where the principle has to be done with love. And he did it with love, and it really helped his marriage, I think. I really think it did.
Yeah, I think the intent certainly matters. People can tell. Like people aren't as ignorant as we put them off to be sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
People can really tell what the intent is. If you are putting your foot down out of a sense of, well, I'm doing this to defend my own comfort, or I'm doing this to defend my own sensibilities, or I'm doing this to defend my own, I don't know, whatever, mental space or pride or whatever the case may be. You can tell when it's that most of the time. Maybe not.
It's manipulative. Moment. It's selfish.
Right.
As if it was family principle. Yeah, I feel you totally. 100%.
Right. You might not be able to tell in the moment, but certainly over time you can. But if you're doing it from a sense of, well, I genuinely want what's best for the family, or I genuinely want what's best for maybe the guest in the sense of the Supra, where you're saying, look, I'm going to do like you're saying, don't be direct all the time, but you're like, I'm going to do a, gentle reminder. Like I'm looking around, I see people, they're not drinking any wine. I think what's going on, kind of like a soft reminder. Cause I remember the first toast, I wasn't drinking any wine. You made that statement. I was like, okay, I should be a good guest.
I know.
I know. Yeah. I'm like, even though I don't typically drink, I'll have a glass, I'll like take sips or whatever the case may be. And, it was good. And I feel like, that's a good way to go about it. There's a lot of different lessons that you can learn from the Supra.
This is what we're learning. If I can I talk a little bit more about the Supra?
Yeah, absolutely.
When we've done this now, we do it in a secular setting at the restaurant. We have icons and stuff. What I mean though is it's not overtly Orthodox. It's not even in Georgia anyway. You got families that are communists doing this. So, but most of our automatas are either Orthodox or Orthodox adjacent. And what you just described is the art of the automata of that person leading the table is really not, it's not the art of telling them what you want them to hear or know. It's the art of speaking to what they already know as good and true. And so it's knowing your table in a way that you give them the thing that they already have, but you elevate it. And what we already all have, this is really important. And this isn't psychobabble. This is the teaching of the church. What we already have is God within us. We know this, Emmanuel. We know that we have life because we have God in Christ. And so what you do is you draw out the life that usually lays dormant between people, because it's usually it's stuff it's very vulnerable stuff. But the most beautiful things of life are the most vulnerable things. Like, sorry, but when you really talk about deep meaning, look at Dostoevsky and the people I love to read. That's hard stuff. It's death, it's murder. But that stuff, it teaches us about the real beauty and the hardship and the wonder of life. And the Tamada's job is to draw out what's already in there. The problem is some people are so reticent to touch on these things that are deeply important to their very existence. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you a quick story. I was a Tamada for a table of women. I've told this story. If you guys have already heard it out there, I love you, but I got to tell it again because it's important to me. I was getting ready to host a table filled with these women who came, beautiful women, all dressed up. They're all celebrating one of their friends' birthdays. They're all like 25 to 35, all in our restaurants, wonderful setting. They're looking good, sharp. It's fun. And just before we sat down, and I'm like, I've introduced myself. Guys, we'll start soon in this very special Georgian tradition. That 3 of the young ladies come up and they say, "Hey, John, we know about this. We did this a couple times. We love your restaurant. Our friend's here, but it's her birthday, so we're going to ask you, please, don't do the toast to death and to those who have died." And I was like, well, that's like the center. That's the historical center, the spiritual center of the Supra.
Right.
I'm like, well, I really can't do that. They said, you don't understand. Our girlfriend who we're celebrating, her dad died unexpectedly a week ago. So this is a celebration of life and stuff. We don't really want to talk about death. So they're staring at me, Ben. And I'm like, no, they paid a lot of money. It's not nothing to come to the restaurant. You know what I mean? I'm like, ladies, you got to trust me on this. You just got to trust me that when we do this toast, it's going to be right. And then one of them pulled the great marketplace card. I don't think you understand, sir. We paid for this. And we paid for this for her. And we just don't expect you to do that toast, please. And I said, I'm sorry, I have to do the toast. I was kind of proud of myself because I'm a bit of an empath in a bad way. And they huffed off, bro. They huffed off. They were not happy at all about what was about to transpire. So first toast, second toast, usually the toast to the dead is the 5th toast. Some in parts of Georgia, they do it the 3rd toast. Anyway, I did it. So what do you think happened? It's obvious what happened. They all, the birthday girl toasted to her dad.
Yeah.
Duh. And then, all the girls who were mad toasted to her dad. And then everyone started crying. And then at the end of the night, the Supra was over. Great Supra. They all came up and they were hugging. And they didn't say anything, though. It's pretty classic. It's pretty classic young youth. They didn't say like, John, we were so wrong. They just went, that was the best night of our lives. They literally use a phrase. It happens a lot at our restaurant. And I said, yeah, because the Supra is the best thing ever. And I didn't say anything. But, man, I wanted to hammer it.
Yeah, they should have said, John, you were so correct. We were so wrong.
They didn't say nothing.
Forgive us.
It's kind of stupid. However, I don't need any of that because the joy was seeing. And now what I wanted to bring that back to what I was saying is that Tamada's art is just to remind people, just like a priest, of what's at the center of their being. And so we're finding that might be enough. Okay, let's do this. The answer to Israel and American power might be the Supra. I can explain that. The question to why can't anybody afford anything anymore? The answer might be the Supra. You know, the corporate greed or the corporate, let's call it this, oligarchy. The answer might be the Supra. I actually think it's the answer. And here's how in its shortest form. The true Supra, where you sit with your friends, and here's what you do. You blow past the idea, I got to get home and do some emails. You blow past the idea that, oh, no, I got to be ready tomorrow because I've got a big presentation. You actually sit in the spiritual essence of brotherhood, sisterhood, and communing. And that becomes more important than that extra hour sending emails. When that happens, the machine can't work anymore. The machine gets clogged up, and they're going to keep hitting you with all the algorithms and all the things to buy and all the things to do and all the things to own, but more importantly, all the powers to acquire. But if you sit long enough, like the whole old world does this, the Georgians especially, in my opinion, when you sit long enough in the FU looks like, nah, let's have one more drink and let's enjoy this chocolate mousse or this delicious cake. And you know what? Screw them. I believe this with my whole heart. And I know people are like, no, dude, no, I'm just telling you, that's an act of resistance.
Right.
It is.
Yeah, I feel like the level of hospitality, the things that we experience during the Supra, I mean, it is kind of a bit of a stillness. It's almost as if the rest of the world doesn't exist for that time, right? It's a good reset, and you feel much closer with the individuals that you're speaking with, and you actually form genuine relationships. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
That, yeah. I was when you said that, you said it that night, but I think when we were just talking before we came on, I have to tell you that's like the biggest joy of this
Yeah.
weird life that I'm leading now. Because that stillness is not the stillness of the monastery or the liturgy. I don't want to call it a degraded stillness. That's not the right way to think about it. But it's a stillness that's for everybody. Even if you haven't been able to find a way into a prayer life so rich as that. And it's what it really is, it's a calling to the higher stillness. And it's real. And I don't like when Americans, they generally think it's the wine.
Right.
Now, don't get me wrong. It is, but Christ turned water into wine for a reason. He
Yeah.
could have turned water into juice. There's a lot of options there. And it has to do with the bounty of the earth and the blessings of joy that come through communing. So I actually think it's special. If you think about it in the 80s when you weren't even born, how old are you, man?
Me, I'm 32.
Yeah, you're an 80s guy, right? What is that?
Well, 93 would have been when I was
93. What am I talking about?
born. Yeah,
You're a baby, bro. But that's good. Okay. So back then there was this thing where just everyone should just have dinner together. That's really the same thing.
Right.
The problem is the dinner now is dominated by the wrong, let's call them traditions.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a narrative of how to spend a dinner together. And the Supra is the simplest, and don't forget, ground in the liturgical tradition of the early Christians. It's the simplest, easiest way in. And here's the cool part, and then we can talk about something else if you want. It's up to you. The coolest part is, and I know people think this is weird, but I checked this against Georgians. See, I'm not just running with Georgia changed my life. I lived there in the 90s during their civil war. It changed my life. Like, they showed me how to do this. I checked this against there's 2 or 3 people that I speak to there. One's a Tamadal, one's a researcher. She's a historian. And so we constantly are like, can we do this with your tradition? And they're like, come on, man. This is not ours. This is life. But of course you take it. And then what we call Georgian, you call American. I'm like, it might look a little different. They're like, John, why would it look like Georgia? Why you say this? This is stupid. Then I'm like, yeah, it is stupid. But we never get rid of the frame of the plane. We fly a different angle, maybe.
Right.
But the frame is there. And what I realized, it's a frame for all humanity. Mm-hmm. And I'm sticking with it.
You know what? That's interesting that you say that, because I've often thought this about the Orthodox Church in general. The fact that the liturgy itself is so ancient and unchanged. It is the framework that holds the rest of the doctrine together.
Yes.
And when the Roman Catholic Church abandoned historic liturgy, things started to change. It was the framework that had changed. Yes. So we got to get back to that framework, understanding how to commune with one another, understanding how to have something as simple as a meal together with that framework.
Yeah.
That's healing, man. That's it.
That
is probably one of the more important takeaways from the Supra. I think we need to bring this and make this more prevalent in America. And I feel like that would honestly, like you said, solve a lot of our problems, because it's unfortunately something that we've lost.
I used to think I was haranguing when we started doing this 3 years ago. I used to think I'm that guy, like the old guy shouting at clouds and haranguing people for not doing dinners together. But what I realized is people actually look at me like, but I don't really know what to do. Mm-hmm. What they mean is the dinner for food, or is the dinner for communion? Mm-hmm. So most people think of the dinner as for the food, like it's for fuel. And then also we'll do some conversations. Now, I'm talking about just a dinner. I'm talking about you with your family tonight and me with my family. I'm just talking about not a Supra. When we sit down, is it for dinner? Is it for food, or is it for the people? And then but the Georgians are like, what are you, stupid? It's for the people.
Right.
You can eat the food in the car. You can eat beef jerky on the way to what? Come on, guys. This obviously for the communion, for the communal nature. And what happens is that means if it's for the people, how do I relate to them? And then what happens is we end up talking about the things we want to talk about, and the Supra fixes that. The Supra has it's a traditional pattern of toasting. It's not the same toast all the time, but the Tamada, I'm talking about, I've seen families do this, Ben.
Yeah.
I've seen high school kids, 18-year-olds, play soccer for 4 hours, whatever, 3 hours. Then they come over and they sit down at the table, like in a restaurant. I've seen this. They order a bottle of cha-cha, put it down, start toasting. They elect the Tamada. Like, these are kids just playing soccer. And they're like, you be Tamada. Okay. And then they have the toast to God, the first one. And then they start talking about girls or whatever. And then he does it. Wait one moment before we continue. Let's toast to our parents. He says beautiful words. And guy leans over and says, to your father, Zura, I love him. Boom, done, finished. Now talk about drugs. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's pure. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is they don't get to pick what's going to be on deck. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's that lack of freedom that I think Americans wrestle with. They want to talk about the things they want to talk about, or the dad wants to force some conversation on the kids. And what happens is it's not communal. It's like most things in the West. It's directive, scientific, objective. It becomes a test. It's not flowing. It's not filled with art and what the Georgians call shvidoba. The thing you experience at the end of the Supra, that's why I'm so glad you said it. The Georgians call that shvidoba. It's like when time, there's a famous toast by one of my favorite Tamadas in Georgia. He says that the very last toast to these Americans in this video, I should share it with you. He speaks English to them, and he says, you've been with me now for, these Supras are long in Georgia, 5-6 hours. He's like,
yeah.
But now you, and they said, no, not the last toast. He goes, it's never the last toast, but I want to toast the peace you have in your heart, in your soul. May you take it with you, and may you share it with someone, even tomorrow as you rise for breakfast. Share the shvidoba. And they're like, we don't want it to be over. He's like, yeah, this is it. This is it. And it's only has that feeling because you were willing to stay for an extra toast or two. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
You stretched it past practicality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're doing a metaphorical conversation about life in the West. I don't really think this is about Supra.
Right.
Once practicality reaches its end, whether it be in anything, I'm standing in a line long enough now, I want my food. Or I'm standing in a line at the movies, I want in. I know it's a practical line so that people get where they're supposed to go. But you know what else is? It's actually, there's people standing in line with you might have a conversation with. There's actually there's a payoff that's not practical.
Yeah.
And if everything is practical and efficient, we just die eventually. And it's when you stretch it into the reality of the spirit of the soul, out of the reality of the body. And when your body becomes a tool for entering the spirit, I sound weird, but I don't think that's weird. When the body is more than simply something that acquires the good stuff, the tasteful, the tasty stuff, then your body becomes a conduit for the spirit. And I just find we should do that in little things all the time, the time.
I think this this objective way of living, this is really it displays itself in several forms, but one of the more prevalent ways would be people barely even leave their houses anymore, and when they do, it's I've got my objective. I'm going to accomplish the objective. Then I'm returning back to home base, and I'd say, it's over. I'm not interacting with anybody. Leave me alone. I noticed one of my good friends who I've spoken with for quite some time. He started inquiring into Orthodoxy at the same time as me, and what he would use his time for, especially towards the very beginning, he works a night shift job. So during the day, he just walks around his town. He's like talking to people, and he'll give me a call. We talk on the phone quite often, and he's like, hey, I just spoke to the most wild cult member you'll ever meet. Like, he's doing side quests in real life.
Who is this guy? Who is this guy?
Person would like walk up to him and be like, hey, we believe like Jesus is like Korean or something. And like, he's like, random Korean Jesus. And we have these prophets, and, why don't you come to our seminar? He's like, no, thank you. Let me tell you about, Orthodox Christianity or something.
This is beautiful.
And this is what he does. And his life is so much richer because of it. And he'll tell me like, at the very beginning, he was visiting multiple different Orthodox churches. Now he goes to a Rokor church. And the funny story, not related, but I'll tell you this story because it just popped up into my head. I think it's funny. The Metropolitan came and was visiting his parish very recently. And he's kind of despite going on all of these little side quests, he's relatively shy. And he's especially shy around any kind of bishop or anybody in a position of power. So he's standing in the narthex as they're doing the liturgy, and somebody comes back and they're looking in the narthex, they're looking around, and he's like, looking for the cane. He's like, "Where's the cane at?" So he points where the bishop's cane is. "Would you like to present this to the Metropolitan?" And he's like, he freezes. He's like, "Oh, I don't want to do this." He's like, "I have no idea how to. Like, I'm just barely even.
I'm just a guy that talks to Korean cult members."
Yeah, exactly. So it shows him how to give him the cane, or so he goes up and he gives it to him, asks for the blessing, that kind of thing. Later on, after the Metropolitan's leaving, he is asked to get. It was like they're up in Maine, so they have like a lot of like syrups and things like this. So they gave the Metropolitan a gift of syrup. So like, "Can you grab the Metropolitan the syrup?" So he's like, in the same day I became like the Metropolitan's cane bearer, the guy that presents him with the syrup. I walked into his car, so I was the security for the Metropolitan.
Right.
I had a pretty amazing day, just
he has it right.
So
he has it right.
Yeah.
The problem is that guy, by the way, I want him on my podcast. That guy, me, you, if we can attain to this kind of life,
right,
this quirky life, guess what? We probably won't get rich in the West. No, I say that with a type of sadness, but also it's supposed to bite a little bit, which is like, there is a reason we got so wealthy in the West.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that we got crazy. Have you ever thought about the stuff we have?
Right.
The thing I think about is a Furby. You guys don't remember that, but like,
yeah, Furby. Yeah.
Like, we have Furbies. We have the most odd things that, like, for instance, here's one. In my car, okay, is a seat that heats up, and I don't even know how to turn it off. I got this Camry. It's not
so
like
you just got a hot seat in your car.
I just got a hot seat, and I can't figure out which buttons it is. I'm not kidding, and I'm like, I'm sweating in my butt. Like, I don't like this. I wanted to turn this off, and I literally just figured out the other day. I turned it on when I was driving in Ohio. I was freezing. I couldn't turn it off. I didn't know how to turn it off, and I just thought to myself, like, why do I have this? It's kind of crazy. The body sort of warms itself at some point, doesn't it? I'm not like out in the cold. I'm in my car. Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
So we have so much stuff, but it's because people are really efficient. And that's why Supra, it almost is it's the medicine to the illness. Yeah. It's very inefficient. It's long, but it doesn't have to be. I want people to know that I want everyone to do this in the whole world. It doesn't have to be long. What it has to do is it has to get to the toast for the dead. The old tradition is, if you don't do the toast to the dead at your Supra, then what kind of person are you?
Right.
Like, it's disdainful, So, yeah, I think about this stuff. You know what I'm thinking about lately? And I just saw today that Tucker, take him or leave him, I'm tending to take him these days. Tucker Carlson just brought a guy on that's blowing up evolution. Because I've been having this thought a lot, and it's tied to the Supra, but really it's just tied to the nature of theosis and who we're supposed to become as Christians. And it's this: I just don't think you can tell that story of evolution and continue to imagine that we're also going to have souls. I'm sorry, love cannot be attained through a constant telling of a story where we're random beings that climbed out of a pool for no reason, a scum pond. If you keep telling that story, it's inconsistent with the other stuff, with civilization. if you want to put it like that, with Christian civilization. And anybody who's still holding to evolution as a way to explain who they are, I feel bad for you. Sorry, I do.
You mean
I
to tell
do.
me my great-great-grandfather wasn't a chimpanzee? Come on, John. What are you doing to me?
I think you can handle it. Look at you. See, you got the proper cynicism about this. But
Yeah, there you go.
I'm telling you, when I say this among, my East Coast people, they literally think I'm crazy what I just said. And they're like, so what do you believe? Like you got these like creationist crazy museums where Jesus is riding on a dinosaur. Like that's the stuff you believe. Have you seen those?
Right.
Those are hilarious.
Yeah, those are wild. Like Ken Ham stuff.
It's Ken Ham stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then you're like, no, because Ken Ham is trying to use the same exact epistemology, the way of knowing, the scientific objective way, to explain his unknowable God. Why doesn't he stop doing that?
Right.
Unknowable in the sense of the Father. Why doesn't he stop doing? I don't get why he's so intent on using that objective, their science, to explain his God. I just don't get that at all.
Yeah, it ends up with a weird blend. I mean, I feel like a lot of his stuff is very strange for that particular reason, though. I mean, it's kind of come up lately.
But it has, because it's weird. The science world, the scientific world, is going closer to the idea that things may have come from a, first mover or something.
Mm-hmm.
Ken Ham's all the way over going, yeah, he did it in 6,000 years with dinosaurs and stuff. And you're like, okay, I don't know about all that. But I know one thing, that Catholic idea where they try to thread the needle, like, of course, it's God used evolution and salamanders and stuff and did all that to make us. That thing is untenable as a Christian now. It doesn't work.
Well, I feel like that's the way with a lot of things in the Roman Catholic Church. They try to make the umbrella so wide and fit so much stuff inside of it that it just ends up a big mush. It's like if you're mixing paint, you don't want to mix too many paints together. Their paint is brown. That is some brown paint. And now that you mention this, you remind me of another guest that was at the Supra. Dr. David Patrick Harry was there as well. So I know there's like some other people that were there that are, I was there too. How could you forget me?
I know we're going to get in trouble, bro, because we're not naming everybody.
Yeah. So forgive me. Just you can blame it on me for being forgetful in the moment, but it was very meaningful. Another person that I met there, Chad, was the comic book artist. And what's interesting is, I used to do a lot of drawing back in the day. I used to do a lot of art. And I hadn't for, I don't know how long, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, a couple of years. But I think I'm relatively good at it. I was talking to him about, art and things like that. He sat next to me to my left, and we still text back and forth now. And I'm like, hey, I kind of got a little spark of inspiration. I'm actually going to do some drawing. So I did a couple of things. We'll send it back and forth.
Nice.
But it just speaks to, it's not like you're meeting people, you're moving on, and you're forgetting all about them. No, these are like lifelong friendships that can be formed at just one dinner meal, or like you were mentioning earlier, waiting in the line at the movie theater.
But this makes me happy, Ben. The thing that you got away from the Super is what's real about it is it. I always tell people, once we do Super together, it's not normal anymore. I know you in a way that I can't know even some of my own family members who I don't Super with. I'm not saying that about my family, but kind of my extended family. When I do one Super with people, I kind of know as much as about some of my extended family who I don't talk to that much. Like there is a brotherhood factor. I see it in you. I see you because I'm like, he's going to try to name all these people. And then I realized it's because you had that kind of experience. That makes me happy, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to bring this I want everybody to have this experience. I want the viewers to have this experience, people in America to have this experience. So how do we get them to do Super as
awesome.
well?
I have something for you guys. That makes me happy. I'm glad you asked. So one is we spun this off because I run an organization that sends people Peace Corps style to live and work in difficult places, as I talked about earlier. That's a job to be the director of that organization. We're not huge, but we have salaries we have to pay, and we have 14. Well, I think that we're 13 in the field right now for 2 years at a time. There's a lot of questions that go on out in the field, and it's my job. Does that make sense? And I raise money for that job. It's a missionary endeavor, and that's my job. But what Supra did in the restaurant, we started this restaurant, is it gave me this other weird, crazy life where I could meet a ton of people that's been like a blessing out of the blue for a way to create networks and raise money, right? But that's not why we did it. But here's the final question is then we did it for a while, and one of my dear friends, Daniel Paternos, who served in Sierra Leone in our organization, he spun it off and created Supra Dinner Society. And he moved out to Seattle and has basically started a restaurant there with a Georgian caterer. They don't have a building, but they cater Supras around the city. Like he did 5 in 2 weeks ago, 5. And so his business has caught on. He works within the umbrella of First Things in a lot of ways. He donates back to us. And you call that guy and he'll do a Supra for you. Now, that tends to up the price. But he's also created a network and a training now for people who want to do Supra. And so say there's 20 guys that, it could be women too, but there's 20 people that are tamadas, and you don't know what it is, but you want to throw one. He'll network you to a tamada. They'll come to your house. You pay a little bit to get them there, and then they throw Supra for you. The other way is just to get in touch with me and First Things and KP Restaurant. And I've got some basic PDFs that you can learn, probably enough to do a Supra, probably. The problem with it is like I have a French friend who took it and did it, and he does a lot of them. But watch this. Watch this. This is called evolution. This is not how human beings came to be, but this is called the evolution of the Supra. Here's how it worked. He started to insert questions because he's an empath. So when you would sit down, Ben, like we did, he would say, before you guys get started, here's a piece of paper, write down questions that you want entertained. Then he started to go through them while he's standing there. And then his toast is let's try to answer this question as a group. That's all fine. That's great. That Thomas Jefferson started something like that called the Jeffersonian table.
Yeah.
And it's that didactic thinking. It's the intellectualization of the toast. And that's not what Supra is.
Yeah, that's enlightenment thinking, basically.
You got it. And so my French buddy, of course, he's French.
That's why I brought up enlightenment, you know.
Exactly. You got it 100%. My Jacobin friend, he basically turned his table into that. So I was like, whoa, Thibault, what are you doing? His name's got to be Thibault. And I'm like, he's like, well, I like it this way. And by the way, here's what I said, right on, let's do it. Here's my point is it's going to evolve but you should have the frame first. Don't evolve it out of the frame. Yeah. It's going to happen anyway. God knows what's going to happen, but we're meant to be together. It's a really nice framework for being together. So we got PDFs. Hit me up. You put it in the show notes. You can find all this over at my channel too, and our website, first-things.org. But here's the cool part. There's ways in now. And now guess what happened? In some of these cities where Daniel and I started throwing Supras, we've met Georgian men. And guess what? They want to be tamadas. And that is really cool when you see a Georgian man who's lost his tradition, but he knows it from his grandfather or something. And he lives in Chicago and he's like, I want to be, do you know the pride he gets out of having these Americans sit at his table while he does Supra? Oh, it's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous. So we're trying, bro. We're trying.
Absolutely. And tell us about your restaurant. Where can they find it?
So it's called KP. KP is, remember, the downsized idea of a Supra. KP is like, let's head to the table and have a party. Mm-hmm. It's called KEIPI. It's in Greenville, South Carolina. It's a restaurant. You can come in with your friend and eat on a Wednesday night, and it's not a Supra. But definitely every Friday night we have a Supra you can sign up for. It's a little more expensive, but there's so much wine flowing. It's the best deal in Greenville. It's the best deal in the South. And I'm not even joking. We just won the Silver Spoon Award for the whole of the South. And we're just really excited about what's going on there. But that restaurant will take your Friday night reservation, and then you join a table of 25 people you don't know. Sometimes they're 20. They're almost always bigger than 20. And then you go through the whole Supra, and by the end, you're like, what is this? This is crazy and interesting. You can also do private supers. So Ben, if you brought all your friends and then you said we want a tamada for 10 of us, we can do that. And the food is Georgian and it's delicious. Our chef is crazy good. She just keeps getting better. We've done a lot of cool stuff. Can I do one brag and then
Yeah, go
about
ahead.
Greenville? It's a brag.
Yeah, go ahead.
About 8 months ago, we got asked to do a table, more like a year ago now. We got called by the Greenville Chamber of Commerce and the Greenville SC, Upstate SC. They're a marketing agency for the city. And they said, John, we want you to do this for us. We have 3 producers coming from a show called our Top Chef. Most people know what that show is. I didn't really know, but these 3 producers are coming because they're going to spend a day with us in Greenville because they want to do a new season in there. It's between Greenville, Charlotte, and some other place. So I was like, well, what do you want us to do? We're closed on Monday. Well, they're only in for one day. Can you guys open? We'll take them around all day, and then we'll end there at your restaurant and do Supra with these producers and the 9 top chefs in Greenville. We're like, at our restaurant? They're like, yeah. You guys throw your Supra. I'm like, well, okay. We got the chef to come in. We got workers. We did the whole thing. And the 3 producers came, and then the chefs of the other restaurants that are all trying to get on the show. And I'm thinking, why don't we get on the show? We have such a little restaurant. But anyway, it was marvelous. Guess what happened? I just found out like 3 weeks ago. Greenville landed Top Chef.
Hey, praise God. That's
so
awesome.
I know. So Top Chef's going to come sniffing around KP. They're not choosing us. We don't have the Michelin. We're not known as one of those restaurants, but I think we are. Long story short, that thing is taking place at our restaurant these days, and it's cool. We got some cool plans for Save Me a Spot at the Supra, bringing in sort of profile people to sit and join the table out of the blue. And people like, have you ever heard of Allen Iverson?
Yeah.
Basketball player.
Yeah.
Hall of Fame, crazy guy. Some weird thing that happened between somebody to somebody. He's like, I'll come to your restaurant. We're working on them right now just to show up at the table and eat Supra with us and then do a podcast the next day about basketball and spirituality.
Do you ever film the Supra? I feel like it might take away from it, but do you ever film it just so people could see?
Yeah, we filmed. We've got footage from 2 really beautiful Supras. One down in Florida we did, and that I'm going to start using some of the film. And then one that we shot for the movie Christianities, where Scooter Downey, the director, shot a full Supra. It's beautiful. We're still trying to make this movie. I can give an update, but it has to do with a second trench of fundraising, and we're struggling. But the key right now is that we have great footage, and we're working on a really nice documentary. So yeah, we filmed it. We have, but you're right. You can't do it.
Right. You have to be there.
Yeah, you can't. It's too hard. There's a famous thing. Georgians say it too. Once you try to explain Supra, you ruin Supra. It's like Fight Club.
All right, delete the podcast.
No, bro. I'm willing and up for it. I'll always try. But mostly I'm thankful to you and your journey, man. And I know that you talked to my brother before all this, right? So that was interesting. Welcome to this crazy journey called Orthodoxy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm very grateful. Very grateful to your brother for the guidance he gave me during that entire kind of shift over, especially prior to the public announcement. That was a interesting time, very recent time in my life, but I think it was necessary. I feel like because one of the things that I experienced in that entire, transitionary period from Protestantism into now journeying into the Orthodox Church was a lot of, my colleagues and things like that kind of lashed out, that kind of a thing. I try in my personal life though, even from the church that I left, I still have great relationships with my old senior pastor. All of the elders were good friends, people at the church, good friends. I didn't lose a single friendship from my church, but the people that I worked with in apologetics online, that's pretty much, that was pretty much scorched, except for Ruslan
Oh, good.
And Gavin Ortland. Those two, those are still, I would still consider them friends. Miles from Canon and Creed, he's another one that's reached out after that. But I'm glad that the conversations that I had with your brother, he said, look, prepare for spiritual warfare. You're going to experience some things, that really helped set the framework, set the tone, and being prepared for that before it happened was a huge help. So I'm very
Oh,
grateful.
that's beautiful, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I went and had the blessing. I'm trying to get him on the pod right now of hanging out and talking to Hank Hanegraaff.
Yeah.
And he had a big giant, let's call it pod. It was before podcast. He was the Bible answer man. He's one of the original characters talking to people through the radio about Christianity. And he left for Orthodoxy and he told me some stories.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Yeah. He had some kind of cancer after.
Yeah. Well, he was stressed. And he still is on some level, but he's a really interesting character with your story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm glad you could talk to people, including my brother, because that dude is a caring individual. He cares, man. People only know him as the fire and brimstone guy, but he's just not that person in person.
Right.
Yeah,
he'll just text you out of the blue to make sure you're doing all right. Like that's the kind of person he is,
Oh, 100%. And he's also, because we got it both from our parents in spades. They weren't gentle people. That's not the right answer. But they just liked people.
Right.
My mom used to sit me down in parks. This is a true story. And we would watch people walk by and she'd go, tell the story of that guy. What do you think's going on? You think he loves her? And we would sit there and tell little stories about people. I'll never forget that. And that's a pretty good way to live.
Yeah.
The stories don't always have to be, that guy's after my head. That guy I'm not giving any food to when I build my bunker.
Right.
Actually, this was actually my priest told me, and Father Peter also told me this. Because I said, what do we do with these bunker guys? There's a lot of bunker guys that come into Orthodoxy. And I don't blame them. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get away from all that stuff.
Right.
But guys, when you build your bunker, I don't know how to explain this to you. You're going to build it. You're going to put a lot of good food in there. And it's coming. I agree. Something bad is going to happen. And then guess what you're going to have to do? Open your freaking bunker because there's going to be people knocking on the door because they're starving. Then you're going to have to open it. And if you don't open it, you are the one who loses because Christ is watching, bro.
Right.
As my priest said, so make your bunker right now. And then on Tuesday, give it all away. And then make it again. And then give it all away because you're going to do it anyway, right?
Right.
It's practice.
Yeah, it doesn't keep very long either way. So you're really just putting money into a hole to rot,
It's a mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Well, when I was young, like my late teens, my early adulthood, I got into the prepping stuff. All of that stuff rotted. It did not last that long. It's all gone. Everything that
What a symbol. What a symbol.
Yeah, exactly. It's all gone. So I mean, really, the way that I think about it is, there was a story. There was a man that was gardening, and somebody comes up to him and says, "What would you do if tomorrow?" He's a very pious man. So, what would you do if tomorrow it was the end of the world? Christ is returning. This is it's done. He says, "Well, I'd probably finish hoeing my garden." I think that's the way we got to live, at least set your life up so that you're prepared when that day comes, not physically, but spiritually, because that's really what matters.
It's so cool. Yeah, that's the other thing, right? The camel has a hump. That's why it can't get through the eye of the needle, the pathway through into Jerusalem, because it's misshapen. So why do you think on the last day when Jesus comes, you're suddenly going to be in shape? You're misshapen already. You're not going to just cut off you're not going to cut off the hump. That's who you are. It's too late. The patterns are you have to break them every day, right? That's the whole idea of confession. The problem is I'm with these people. It's hard. I get it, man. That's the whole point. And the good news is you don't have to get it right. You only have to try and then fail, and then you look like a fool, and then you get it and do it again. You've heard our priests now that you're hanging around.
Yeah.
When they talk about confession, they never say like every week's a brand new adventure. They go, I heard it all, heard it all, heard it all, heard it all. It's the same all the time. So you think, wow, what a weird religion. So people just keep coming and confessing. Yeah, that's right, because they keep falling down. You know who I never hear anything from? The people who don't come to confession. My guess is they've embraced those habits.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Scary.
Well, I think that the thinking that you're going to pass through the eye of the needle with that big hump on your back, it really does draw the differences between Protestant theology and Orthodox theology, especially in reference to theosis. If you find it confusing, just think about it's basically shaving that hump off over time so that when the day comes, maybe you will.
Yeah, you're right. That's great. It's great imagery.
Other than just sitting there and you're like, I've already started. I shaved it once. It's good enough.
It's good enough.
It's good. I've shaved it.
That's a great imagery.
Look, if I've shaved, it's shaved.
It's 100% great imagery, because I thought this too. If you continue the metaphor or the analogy, if you continue it, but wait, that's who I am. And then I think the real question is it though? You sure you haven't acquired some, some, what do they call on the side of a whale, the crustaceans? Are you sure? You sure that's who you are? I don't buy it. I don't think so. Shave it. That's my bone. No, that's something you've acquired. It's calcium, bro.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting.
It's an ontological change in Orthodoxy. You are literally changing. You're becoming like Christ-like. It's not just a legal declaration. It's a process of ontological change. It's beautiful.
Wow. And by the way, that's all biblical. Mm-hmm. It's all, although, you know what I kind of hate these days? And then I don't want to keep you forever, but here's something. I hate this about myself these days. Is I still default to it's biblical. It's in the Bible. And I know I should. Don't get me wrong. It's not really a problem. It's not evil. But sola scriptura is a kind of evil as a standalone theological teaching. I'm sorry. No offense. It's a heresy that is grounded in something really off. So when I catch myself going, yeah, but like with my Protestant friends, that's biblical. I always want to go, why am I doing that? I can do it. But I'm falling into that pattern. A better way to say it is to go like, isn't that beautiful? And then they're like, you sound kind of like a new ager. I'm like, yeah, but it might be better than trying to do the other thing right now.
Do you think that's really an issue though? Or do you think that's more of like a knee-jerk overswing in the opposite direction? Because the Bible is an Orthodox book. I feel like sometimes there's this reaction to be, especially from people who have converted from a Protestant tradition or Protestant adjacent, whatever you want to call it. There's this knee-jerk reaction to go as far in the opposite direction as possible, even in terms of maybe like even if there is some rhetorical overlap, it's like, well, I can't use that because it's what I said then. But if the understanding is the same, and you understand there's some nuance to it, and you're not implying the same thing that you did, I don't really necessarily see an issue with it. Take it back.
All right.
Like take the word back.
I'll challenge you. First of all, what you said, I agree. On its face, there's nothing wrong with that. Let me try to challenge you a little bit.
Sure.
If it's true what you said and what you've come to know, and me too, I'm a convert too, that there are certain things that are held by the church for the church. They're types of pearls. And if the Bible is that thing, which it is, even with a Protestant, it might not be in your best interest to share those pearls, which is super weird, right? Because you're like, well, what am I supposed to share then? Maybe you're supposed to share some other things that aren't pearlish in that sense. Here's what I mean. Remember that the Protestant Reformation is meant to create the Bible as the ultimate authority in every hand and read by every eye. That act is destructive on some level to the pearl itself, because some mysteries need to be mysteries. Now, is the Bible that thing? I don't know. I don't really know. I find when I try to do that, use the Bible, that pearl with other Bible, let's call it banging Protestants, it doesn't help. It's not of use. It's not a wonderful thing to commune on. It ends up now, if you and I are sitting together at Supra and we start discussing the Bible, you're Orthodox, I'm Orthodox, we're all Orthodox at the table.
Sure.
That's fair game to say, yeah, that's Bible based. That comes from our tradition.
Yeah.
It's a much more effective way to go deeper into our faith for me.
I think maybe the reason for that is because oftentimes when we point out, especially if you're talking to more evangelical types, you point out that, oh, well, this is in the Bible. To say, well, you know what, but this is my interpretation of that verse. And then you're at a loggerhead and you're not getting anywhere.
That's my point right
if
there.
If you also preface the conversation with, this is the way this has been interpreted by, and then you now have the tiebreaker. That's a much more productive conversation, because then you could say, even if they say, well, I don't think, I don't necessarily hold the ecumenical council. You might not get that deep into it, but I don't.
You must get that,
like traditions of men or whatever. I would
you
say,
must get that all the
time. This was the way that it was interpreted by the early church. Then, do you concede then that you have a different faith than the early Christians? I feel like that's more productive.
I love that. You described to me right there exactly what I find the best Orthodox, let's call them missionaries or teachers. What you just said is what they do. And if you notice in those arguments, the best Orthodox teachers, they quickly pull out of the actual verse versus verse thing, and they pull and they go up to where you went, to history and tradition.
Right.
And when they go up, I call it going up there, or the better way is going out of the pearl known as the Bible and into this idea of, right, the narrative of Christ as taught to us through the saints. That's a whole new way that does something to the argument. It's like a dog knows how to bite. And you're like, well, we're not doing biting right now. We're going to do a whole different thing here. We're going to do, I don't know, whatever, something dogs don't do. And then it challenges the dog to like, whoa, what am I going to do? And I'm not calling anybody dogs. What I'm trying to say is there's habits. There's habits. Right. And I find the Bible defending Christianity using sola scriptura as a type of habit that's been ingrained. If you look at the fathers, they do that, but they're not trying to win arguments. They're trying to explain our faith. Yeah. And I get it. It's kind of the same thing. But anyway, that's a passing thought that I have for Ben Cleave to Antiquity, who you're good at it.
Well, this has been an excellent conversation. I appreciate you coming on the show. Is there anything that you want to plug before we wrap up here?
I do. This is really cool. One is I'm going to plug on behalf of Jonathan Pajot. He's doing another event in May. Looks like it's going to be another Symbolic World, and I'm going and would love to go. I would also like to plug our event October 29, 30, 31. Is there a 31 yet? And 1 of November, called The Art of the Automata. We're actually starting to start early. Paul Kingsnorth is going to be our guest sort of beach resident. And we sell 30 tickets on a beach. It's expensive, but it's beloved and people like it. And that's out there now. I actually have the dates and the whole hotel. So we have a few more seats. And we all sit on the beach for 4 days and we teach the art of the automata, the stuff I've been talking to today. We do a deep dive. And we bring our chef down and we throw the food around all weekend. It's fun. And Paul's coming for that. So that's a big pitch. And I'm always looking for monthly donors for our work to feed our guys overseas who do this beautiful work, local poverty alleviation. And the reason I have a heart for these people in these places is because I've been writing about and talking about the global marketplace and what it does to authentic communities. And what it does is it makes them very inauthentic fast. And we're in those communities and we see what's happening. What we try to find is local people with great ideas, Ben. These are like local Sierra Leone and Mende men or women, and They say, here's what I need. Fencing over here for this goats will give me this land fallow. And that'll allow me to grow bananas, and I can sell those at market. But I just need this, this, and this, and I don't know how to do it and sell my bananas. And our guys sign them. That's usually they don't read or write, but we sign them to say, we'll work with you for the next 2 years and develop this project. And we usually have 3 or 4 projects per person. And the reason I tell you all that is because we don't take grants from it's our guys work really cheap and they're beautiful, but we have to feed them and house them. And so that's why I do all this. When the restaurant makes money, which it has recently, we donate it all right to this event. So I really appreciate you letting me talk about that. I want all of you guys to go on $25 a month, First Things Foundation. And it's missionary work, but we have non-Christians go. It changes their lives, man. By the way, we also have a lot of them come back as Christians. That's a fact. I can tell that story next time.
Praise God. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Make sure to send me those links. I'll include them in the description. So if you want to support John Heers' work, go ahead and check out the description. You'll find the links there. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless.
You're the man. Thank you, brother.